Hello everybody and welcome back to the Kansas City Royals franchise here on MLB The Show 23. I am DFG, and today we finally get to the draft as we look forward to the future with this team. We are 32 and 51 and this season is pretty much over, so once we get to the draft here we probably will be fast forwarding through the last few months of this franchise as we get a trade here. Gregory Soto for Brad Keller. I am actively shopping Keller. He just hasn't done well for us, and we're looking to see if we can pick up something near the deadline here. But Soto, not really something I'm looking for right now. But we are going to simulate through here to draft day, as we've got a critical situation that we're going to simulate through. We just want to get to the draft, and once we get there, we shall talk about some of the prospects that we will be looking at. I haven't done much in terms of talking about prospects, so let's see if we can do it right now. We had a few prospects that, I wasn't quite sure if they're going to reach us, so I never really discussed them in the previous videos. But we'll see what happens today, and we'll discuss players as they come up here in the draft. And here we go. Here is the 2023 draft, and here is our board. So you can see some of the players that you may have noticed there. Juan Sandoval flew past him, but we're going to go straight to the draft. I didn't go. I don't want to waste time here, but Pittsburgh Pirates on the clock, and they're going to pick straight away here. And there they pick Ken Kyle, a starting pitcher. I didn't scout him. I'm pretty sure Pedro Julio is going to be the guy I wanted to pick, but he's surely going to be gone by the 8th pick. And the Nationals select Pedro Julio. So there he goes. He was our number 1 on our draft rank. There's a few other guys. Carlos Pena, I think, is another guy. He's an outfielder, and Kelvin Sennett is another one. The Tigers, they pick up Carmen de los Santos, another person that I did not draft, or I did not scout. So with us coming up on the 8th pick, who do we look to take? Carlos Pena is a guy we could look to take. He looks someone who's good. Sylvester Lindsay is another guy, though he's not fully scouted. Vernon Valdez is another guy. These are all outfielders as well. He's more contact with some reasonable defenses, but my pick would probably be Kelvin Sennett. I think his power and contact combo with some really good future in defense could really be a guy we could pick up. There's also Val Newby here, but I don't really have him fully scouted, though he'd be a reasonably good closing pitcher to take. Elvis Molina is another guy. He's 13 in our draft board, but Sennett is ranked higher, and I'm more looking towards position players. Marlon Lind is a relief pitcher. He's 19, though I prefer to take him in the 2nd round. I have a few 2nd round options. Marlon Lind is one of them, so I don't think I'm going to take him here. And Juan Sandoval is another one. I really like Sandoval. I think he gives you a lot of upside. His walks may be an issue, but I think he's a very good relief pitcher. Kelvin Sennett is my favorite. I talked about him already. Just that combo of everything that we have that he has. Vernon Valdez, he's not as good. You look at those future ratings, his contact's going to be better, but his power isn't anywhere near where Sennett is going to be. And I think that the potential range is about the same. The overall is a little bit the same. And I think that Sennett could be a very, very, very good player. And that is the man that we are going to pick with our first draft pick in the series. Later on in the round, Vernon Valdez went at 15. Sylvester Lindsay and Carlos Pena were gone by the time that we picked Kelvin Sennett, but he did go to the White Sox. We will take a look at where all these players went later, once we get to see their ratings and their potential abilities. For the second round, I'm looking at Juan Sandoval here. A relief pitcher, looks very, very good. There's also, I was just about to look at Elvis Molina, but he just got picked by the Rays. Yeah, he just got picked up, so Elvis Molina is going to be off the board. Luis Barrero also got picked up in the first round, someone we had discussed in taking second. Molina, there's Val Newby gone as well, we discussed him earlier. Guys are flying off our board. I wanted to take Luis Barrero in this second pick as a power option, but moving closer now to this second round as we pick at number 43. Molina is taken by the Rays. There goes Marlon Lind. He's just after going to the Pirates, so that's another one. That was a relief pitcher that I was very interested in. And there goes Bobby Ostrander. Not someone I scouted, but we're on the clock now. We have a host of options. Juan Sandoval is probably my favorite. I want to take a relief pitcher. I think we need to get relief pitching into the organization. Although if you want a position player, Ned Ellison could be one of the best out there with his utility. Though I'm not really seeing him anything offensively. He's just really good in defense. William Chin is also someone who is kind of the same as Ellison in terms of you don't really see it in terms of his future, but he's got wicked potential, but maybe later on in the draft. Raul Vega is another guy that we could look at for relief pitcher, but I'm just not, and his interest is high. I'm just not sure about the scouting that we have on him because it's quite low. But I think it's fairly obvious. Juan Sandoval is probably our best bet. He's 21 on the draft board. I like a lot about what he brings to the table. We need relief pitching. Val Newby is still on our board despite the fact that he's already been picked. Nunez is someone I also want to pick up. Calderon is another power bat that I had that I wanted to look at as well. But he's another guy I would like to take later. And we don't pick until number 74 again, so maybe he could be our next pick. Newby is gone. Juan Sandoval is more than likely my pick. It is really between Sandoval, Ellison, and maybe you put Chin in there, but I just don't think Vega is an option. I don't think Rivas is an option. I think with how bad his walks could be, at least Sandoval's can get to a reasonable level. And I do think that he is the choice that I'm going to take here. He was 21 on the draft board. You trust your draft board. You take Juan Sandoval right here. So we have an outfielder and a reliever. So maybe you take pitcher next. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to see who's there. But Luke Calderon just got taken, so he's not going to be our next pick. Few guys gone off the board. Jason McCarty, he was a pitcher that I saw that we scouted a little bit, but wasn't too interested. I'm more interested in Neville Nunez, and he might be the guy I take next. But there goes Ned Ellison. He's gone to the White Sox, someone we're going to have to take a look at. There's John Sandoval, maybe a brother of our pick, Juan Sandoval. Avery Rivas just went to the Braves there as well. Yeah, I mean he's not a bad option either, though I worry about the walks being as low as they are, as low as it is. I mean, Neville Nunez to me is the next guy who we're going to pick up. I just think that although he doesn't give you much strike out upside, I just think he's a really good player. We are one pick away, and the Rockies pick Ray Flowers. So there's a few guys here I just want to take a look at. Gary Nixon is one. One is guy I really would like to take a look at is Steven Stoddard. He's a first baseman whose potential isn't very high, but he's ready to go right now. But he's a power bat. And I do think we got Sennett, so Sennett is a decent power bat. We do pick again reasonably soon. I think it's pick 80, so maybe you just wait for Stoddard, because I could go get Neville Nunez or William Chin. I do like Chin, but his potential is crazy high, but I just don't see where he's getting them from given what we see with his future attributes. Richie is later on in the rounds, and we'll take more of a look at him later. This is really between Stoddard and Nunez, and maybe Gary Nixon, which we haven't taken a look at, but we have seen in a previous video. I like Stoddard a lot. I like Nunez a lot. I think Nunez is someone I really want because of just what he brings to the table. He's not going to leave up many hits. He's not going to leave up many home runs. He's not going to leave up many walks. I think I've just talked myself into it. So yeah, let's go with Neville Nunez. I don't need a top prospect there. Just give me someone who can be low in the rotation or be a bullpen on. Now we wait to see if Steven Stoddard falls to us at 80. Okay, so there goes Claudio Cortez and Logan Hamill. Winston Reyes went to the Pirates, so now we're just waiting to see who the Reds take. And of course they take Steven Stoddard. This leaves us in a really tough spot. Do you take William Chin now? I wanted to take a position player, and his potential is so high. You're in round 3. His draft rank is 40 with a scouting progress of 100. Maybe you go with him because of that upside. Maybe Ryan Morris is another option, but you know, his home runs and hits are a little bit low for the future for my liking. I mean, we could also get a really good starting pitcher with Gary Nixon, who's going to give you strikeouts, you know, to kind of complement Neville Nunez. And he's got really good interest, so he's an option as well. Remember, Val Newby is not available. Richie is, as I said, a later round option. Willie Delgado is another one. Michael Hernandez is a guy who's also later on, but he's ready to start right now. But I feel he has second and third base, but I feel like he's a first baseman. But we'll talk more about him when we get down to the rounds where we might be drafting him. It's like, do you want to take Ryan Morris or Gary Nixon or William Chin? They're the three options that we have. I am intrigued about William Chin. Like, that potential is crazy. Like, even if you do pick him up in the third round and you get there. So I think I'm just going to draft him, hoping that potential is accurate. Time has continued to go on. Ryan Morris went to the Twins. That's the second time they've picked a player that we've been interested in. So Gary Nixon right now is the only guy that we're looking at for starting pitchers, and to be honest, I wouldn't mind taking him in the next round if he was still there. Good strikeouts, his walks are good as well. Of course, the home runs per 9 is where you're going to be really hoping that he can improve. His hits aren't great either. He's only got a 3-pitch mix. And there's Bob Witt to the Yankees, or Bobby Witt Jr.'s cousin. Well, if Cincinnati Reds take one of our players again, I'm going to be really upset. Okay, we didn't scout Reed Palmeiro. Right, so we're back on the clock again here in the 4th, and if you want a starting pitcher who can probably go in the bullpen now, Gary Nixon is your go, but Richie is there. Willie Delgado is also there. These guys are Michael Hernandez. I think he's a guy, if I'm going to take him, he'd be at the end. As I said, I would switch him to first base. So we don't pick again until 140, which would be right around that Hernandez, Richie range, and Willie Delgado. I'm more interested in taking Richie and Michael Hernandez later, but if you compare the two of them, Hernandez is better than Richie. Anyway, we are going to draft Gary Nixon. I was just discussing between the other two second basemen. I mean, it's not like we can't take both of them if I'm switching Hernandez, but Gary Nixon is definitely the pick for us here. We continue to move on. We pick at 170. Richie is good against righties, and he's a contact batter. While Michael Hernandez is also a contact batter, but he has really good fielding and reactions. So it's really, who do you want? Do you want someone who's a specialist against righties with average defense and okay speed and stealing? Or do you want someone who's better contact, good vision and discipline, and solid fielding and reactions with okay speed? It's kind of difficult. I mean, I think you could pick either of them and be happy. Willie Delgado went to the Nationals, and we're on the clock again. So as I said before, here are the picks from the last round that you didn't see as well. I think if you look at our pick, it's really either Michael Hernandez, who's ready to go. Like, he's not, I don't think he's going to get much better than he is right now. And the other option is Richie, who has some more potential down the line, but is more of a specialist player. I think Michael Hernandez is probably the better draft pick. He's a better player, and I don't think that, Richie is going to get to a level where he's going to beat him. So Franklin Green here as a power option. Seems that we got literally none of them other than Kelvin Sennett, who's an all-round hitter, so he's going on our draft board. Hector Ayala is another guy. He's more contact, but I like his ratings, even if we're not scouted him fantastically. But he is 70% interested, so he might be an easy player for us to sign. Andres Morales is another power bat that that we could take a look at, and it seems that he's coming out of high school. He could have a really good potential or a really bad one. Yeah, we're running out of guys that we have scouted. Michael Thomas, as we talked about before, he's on our draft board now as well. But I still feel Richie is probably the next guy we pick here, coming up on pick 170. And there goes Andres Morales. Here's another power bat that I've looked at, Rich Zinn. He's a first baseman, but he's probably pretty good to go with. I'm just not sure if I'm going to draft him without having any scouting information. And we are on the board. But Alan McKay is another guy I've added to the draft board. I went to the draft board as well. He seems to be a pretty all-round hitter and has some good defenses, so we'll put him on the draft board as well. We'll see. This is, I believe, the last pick of the draft, and right now Richie is the player I'm kind of leaning towards, even though I've already drafted 2 second basemen. One of them has been moved to first base, which is Michael Hernandez. And the other one is a second baseman, but I'm not quite sure if you go and you take the sure thing in Richie and you know what you're getting, or do you go for Alan McKay, who you know very little about and his ranges are way off. I can't imagine that he's ready to go. He's only had 1 year in junior college, so I don't think he's ready to go, while Rich Zinn at least could have some potential, though he does seem to be an all-power hitter with little... his defense could be questionable, while Alan McKay's defense seems to be his strong suit. Michael Thomas is another guy that we know a little bit more about. If we are going to take a second baseman, it would probably be Richie or Henry Franco. I think Richie is probably the better option. Michael Thomas is a pretty good option as well. I just don't know if You want to pick him because you just don't know what you're going to get. Let's just go with the draft board. Richie is our pick, and I'm pretty sure that's the end of the draft. That's our last pick. That is the end of the draft. So we'll get to signing those players pretty soon. If you want to look at our All-Stars, Salvador Perez is one of our All-Stars. He had 13 home runs. He's been pretty good for us this season. His average isn't that great, but 13 home runs, 35 RBIs. Having a good season. Right, let's see if we can sign these players. Senate rejected our first offer. See if Sandoval will. He also declined, so that's not good. William Chin has also declined our offer, so this is going to be a lot more difficult than we thought. Neville Nunez has also declined our offer. So has Gary Nixon. Some of these guys have high interest as well. Okay, we got one. Richie is going to sign with us. And Michael Hernandez will as well for 420k. Keep an eye because our bonus allotment was only 10 million and I've already gotten rid of some of them. If you want to look at the AAA All-Stars, TJ Sakima was one. He's having a really good season and he's getting some development out of it. Dyron Blanco also got one. He's a right fielder who's not really had much development, and at 29 I don't think he's going to get much more. He'd play at the majors last year and he's doing pretty well. The rest of these are not ours. I don't recognize any of these names. Nope. If you're looking at AA, our All-Stars, Ben Kudrna, Tucker Bradley, Frank Mazzucato, Diego Hernandez, and Juan Carlos Negre were all... Oh, and Alec Marsh. Oh, and Evan Sisk as well. He was an All-Star as well. So our AA roster had a good few of them. And so let us continue with our simulations as we continue to try and sign up these draft picks. I don't think we're going to get much gameplay today, but we will try to simulate as much as I can. Trying to get through the end of the season so we can move on to the second one. Seems that to our second season. Seems that this season is not going to go as planned, and we are one of the worst teams in baseball. He's declined again. Well, this could be bad. Okay, Sandoval signed. Okay, that's a good signing. 2.25. I'll take it. Chin has also declined. Neville Nunez has accepted though, so we're starting to sign some of these guys. Nixon will also sign. So we're starting to get some of these guys signed. Now we do need to sign them up before, I believe, the end of July. There's a critical situation here as we beat the Rays. After you took the guy that we wanted to take. Can't remember who it was, even though it only happened maybe an hour ago. Lost this time. Now we get to sign draft picks again. Let's finish this up. Okay, Senate has signed. We got it. What about Chin? Pretty sure Chin is our last guy that we need to sign, and he's going to decline again. I could just waste the bonus allotment on him now. We're going to continue to simulate through as we want to sign up these players. I also just want to get through this season. I know I talked about it earlier. We might get into a game later, maybe a little bit. I was looking at that Yankees game to maybe play to see if we can go up against Aaron Judge. We have an offer from the Reds. We are a selling team, but I'm not really looking for trades here at the deadline. But they're offering Jason Vosler for Brad Keller, and Keller is a 68 overall. He didn't really do well for us He had like a 5 point. He's a 6.21 ERA. He's not even done well, you know, in the minor leagues either. So Jason Vosler is a third baseman. You know what? Jason Vosler is actually not bad. His defense is a little bit, suspect, but his contact, he's got a bit of power. Did I say 290? That's 294. He's 294 with 16 home runs. I think he would start for them, so why not accept that? I'll take Jason Vosler until the end of the season. We have to send the player down now, and I'm going to send down Daniel Lynch, who's although had a really, really good complete game shutout there the other day. He's been pretty poor recently. We're going to make some changes, and Vosler's going to come in for Hunter Dozier. And I'm going to play this New York Yankees game. Maybe not go for the full game, but we'll try and play it. Finally, William Chin signed. Okay, we have all our draft picks signed up. Yeah, we're going to play this New York Yankees game. We're going to play this second one here so we can see Jonathan Boland play against Cortez. So, let's see how we get on here against the New York Yankees. Okay, I'm here at the end of the game, and Cortez hits or had a complete game shutout, and it was not a very good game. So I'm pretty much just gonna cut this out. This video is probably going to be very long anyway because of everything with the draft and trying to get through as much as we can. So I'm just going to cut this out. Believe me, you didn't miss much other than Aaron Judge hitting home runs. I think he hit 2. And there you can see. Jonathan Boland actually didn't play that poorly. Did give up 3 runs in 5 innings. But yeah, Aaron Judge hit us hard today. And we did not play very well. So just going to cut it out. Another reason why I cut it out is because I'm pretty sure we played the New York Yankees and the final game of the season. So we'll play them in the final episode of the season as well. So we will get to see guys like Aaron Judge as he is up against us here at the end of the game. Facing Cleveland, Class A is trying to close you out, and he seemed to succeed. So what can we expect from this series moving forward? There's probably only going to be one more episode before we reach the off season, so it's going to be one more episode. We'll play that final game against the Yankees, and then we'll move on to the next season. Because this one's pretty much a last one. They want the Padres have a trade offer here. Anderson Espinosa, starting pitcher, and a starting pitcher for MJ Melendez. You know what? I'm going to keep MJ Melendez. I like him. I'll keep him around. We will continue to simulate on here. You can see we did not have a very good month of July. But at this point, does it really matter? I mean, we're not going to reach the playoffs for one of the worst teams in baseball. But we have another trade to look at. Bryce Teodosio for Scott Barlow. Scott Barlow has actually been one of the better players that we've had this year. So I know he is. I mean, that's a really good trade for the Angels, but not really a good trade for us because we have good center fielders for the future. If we're looking at guys to maybe re-sign, Brady Singer is one of the guys that we could sign to a long-term deal, though he's not been spectacular so far this season. Like last year, he was significantly better. His strikeout rate is lower, his WAR is lower, his ERA is higher. You would have to pay $12 million a year to him right now if you're going to sign him for the next 5 years. I don't know if I want to do that just yet. He's still developing and he's still gaining overall points, but he's not been very good this year. Another guy as well who's in the same boat is Bobby Witt Jr. He's had some production, 12 home runs, got some extra base hits, but his average isn't great. 231 compared to what he had last year. I know it's only a 20-point drop. One guy who is doing well is Vinny Pasquantino. He has a +8 on lefties and +3 contact on righties, and he's hitting .322. We'll have to take a look at extending some of the contracts later on in the last video. We'll have to wait and see what we want to do, but we will extend maybe Pasquantino. Clark is hurt here. I'm going to keep him active because it's only for a few days. I will probably sign Pasquantino. I want to see what else he does over the last few games of the season, or how he does for the rest of this season. As I said, we're not doing particularly well here, though there is a closing opportunity here for Scott Barlow, and we're going to enter this game against the Boston Red Sox just to give you guys some gameplay. Adam Duvall is up first, and Scott Barlow has 3 batters to put down to see if he can close out this game for Kansas City. His contract is up as well, and at the moment I'm leaning towards renewing it. I don't think we'll be, giving him a massive deal, but maybe a 2-year deal in and around that $6 million a year for $3 to $4 million per year. Of course, Richie Pasquantino is a guy who we want to keep around as Scott Barlow strikes out the first batter. Adam Duvall goes down swinging. That's a ball as he then gets him to foul one off. This is in the left center field gap, and Justin Turner will get a double, and Barlow's got himself into a little bit of trouble. Barlow has been pretty good when I've controlled him this year. Christian Arroyo is next. And Nicky Lopez can't take that, but Olivares gets it back in, and now there's runners at the corners, and Barlow's definitely in the jam now. I mean, realistically, do you want to sign up with and Singer for long-term deals when they didn't really perform this year? Not really, as there's out number 2 on a pop-out. Joyce Alfaro is the final batter, and he's been very good with runners in scoring position. And Barlow wants to close out this game. Gets the second strike on a slider low. And the slurve is just too low, and the Alfaro takes it, but a soft hit grounder to third, and Scott Barlow will save this game and give Kansas City the win here on a 2-1 win over the Boston Red Sox. Nice little bit of gameplay for you guys here today after mostly just listen to me talk for the last, whatever it is, 40 minutes or so. Continuing with the simulation here. I'm not really taking much notice of the simulation right now because we're out of the playoff hunt. We're not, going to be in the playoff race, and we're pretty much done with this season. Someone I would like to keep around who's out of contract as well is Zach Greinke. He had a bad few starts there that his ERA flew to the top, but he's actually kind of done pretty okay this year. I wouldn't mind keeping him around as maybe a as a bullpen arm. And with us halfway through August, that's where we're going to finish here. In the next episode, we'll get to the September call-ups and finish this season as we go. We are 42 and 81, so definitely a season to forget for us. Right now, Vinny Pasquantino is the guy that I want to keep around. Jason Vosler has done well since he's come in, though his average has dropped 5 points, and I think he's hit 5 homers since he's come in, maybe 2 homers. But the real hero of this team is Vinny Pasquantino. And Hunter Dozier's on fire right now. Leading the team in home runs is Salvador Perez. He's got 19. Bobby Witt Jr. has just not been getting it done this year. And right now, I don't think he's going to get a long-term deal. In RBIs, Jason Vosler is leading the team, though he didn't do most of his damage with us. It was with the Reds. In terms of doubles, Bobby Witt Jr., Vosler, and Dozier and Reyes all have 21 doubles. So, a lot of extra base hits on this team in terms of doubles. But Bobby Witt Jr. and Edward Olivares are the only triples. The guys who have been getting triples a lot. Nate Eaton is our worst WAR player, and I wouldn't be surprised if I pop him down for the last month or so. In terms of VRA, Dylan Coleman is having a very, very good season, and as he's young and he's doing well, he'll probably get a big contract. Greinke, the regression is getting crazy, but the ERA, he's still the same guy. 3.7 ERA, the whip's about the same. There's nothing here that's massively different. His FIP's a bit high, but he's not doing bad. Jordan Lyles has had a reasonably good season as well. Boland's got into a little bit of a cold streak, while Bubic has gone the other way. He's got into a hot streak, so we'll have to see how they go. Ryan Yarborough is another guy who's not performing, and Brady Singer's are one of our worst pitchers. Barlow has the best whip. Jordan Lyles leads the team in WAR in terms of pitchers, and Zach Greinke is also there, so that's why I'd want to keep him around. Brady Singer is still a positive WAR player, and so is pretty much everyone on our pitching staff, so that is good to see. But they're all the stats for the season, as this is our second last episode. And in the next one, we get to the September call-ups, and we finally finish this season and get to the off-season. We're not going to do the off-season in the next episode, but we will get to the end of the season. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.